Hi, good afternoon. It's Thursday, the 20th of April, 2023. This is the Democratic Alliance Labour Report, the weekly Labour Report. Thank you for tuning in, and please share if at all possible. I'm going to talk about a meeting that I attended during the course of this week to listen to Premier Alan Winde and some of his thoughts and my thoughts resulting from that with regard to job creation and where we can take job creation forward through the Democratic Alliance. So thank you for listening to me. It's Michael Bagram. I'm the Democratic Alliance Labour spokesperson, Member of Parliament, and thank you once again. It's Thursday the 20th of April 2023. Well, during this week I went to a talk given by Premier Winde. Premier Winde was having a look at the provincial capabilities and jurisdiction. In particular, obviously, he's looking at electrification of the province, how he can take the Western Province off the grid eventually. He's talking about various efforts that they put into it, enormous amount of money that they put into enhancing the electrical enhancements. And of course, they're working hand in glove with the City Council of Cape Town and Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis. And they're doing fantastic things. Already we're 2 notches down in the Western Province. And so if the country's at stage 6, the Western Province will be at stage 4. So things are looking up, and eventually I reckon within about 4 or 5 years, they'll be almost off the grid, which is good. He also spoke about policing and how they've put so many municipal policemen on the street and how they brought down crime. The Western Province had some of the top crime spots in the world, and they're improving in leaps and bounds. But my real interest obviously is job creation and the labour law, and I then did tackle Premier Winde when I had a chance to speak to him at that meeting, on the sidelines of that meeting. And one of the ideas that I have, and I've been speaking about it for ages, is the possibility of obviously the reduction of red tape within the business community and the reduction of the onerous regulations that the Department of Employment and Labour place on small businesses. And Premier Winde is very excited about this. I've been talking to the Free Market Foundation for years now, but in particular in the last few weeks, and it does seem that they're having a similar think as to how can the provinces somehow try and grab the jurisdiction to reduce the red tape and to reduce some of the onerous labour regulations on small business. What everyone has agreed in the world, in fact, is that governments don't make jobs. Governments create an environment for businesses to create jobs. So you must have a conducive environment for job creation. That's common knowledge, and people around the world, sociologists, economists, all think tanks agree with that. So that's the first step. The second step is, and in countries like South Africa, is that it's small business that's going to be the entry into the workplace. Now, we have, unfortunately, almost 70% unemployment with the youth. And the only way we're going to get the youth back into work is the enhancement of small business and to free them up from the yoke of the onerous regulations. And I must tell you that Premier Winde comes from a small business background in the Eastern Cape, the Southern Cape, and he knows and understands how small business struggles with the regulations, with the labour law. He has a very good, intimate knowledge of this. And so you're dealing with the right man, and I take my hat off to Premier Winde. And he has promised to hand over some of these ideas to his think tank that are working on the ways and means of being able to get the devolutional power to the provinces. Now, it's not just the Western Province. We need to look at all the provinces, all 9 provinces. I know, for instance, that there are 2 other provinces that are also looking at ways and means of cutting out red tape. So it's not just the Democratic Alliance. I think the provincial governments are starting to understand that you can't carry on like this. It can't be business as usual. And we can't wait for government to do something. Clearly, the national government under the yoke of the ANC is going to destroy this country if they have much longer left in government. We're hoping that by 2024 that they're pushed out by hook or by crook. And we are hoping that in fact some of these provinces, that the premiers look at this situation and say, let's forget about politics. It's no more politics. It's now life or death. We now need to put people into the workplace. We can't have thousands and thousands, in fact it's millions in South Africa, living off the fiscus, and we can't have millions that are hungry. That's going to create all sorts of other problems. And so what's happened with the Western Province and with Premier Windi at the helm, we're looking at ways and means of basically seeing if we can somehow skirt the red tape, somehow skirt some of the onerous regulations, and start putting people back into the workplace. Now, you might have heard on my previous broadcasts that the Western Province in the last 2 quarters has been growing the work goers. It's fantastic to see that. And this is already in place. It's not like a pipe dream. It's not like something that President Ramaphosa talks about in the SONA, where he talks about smart cities and bullet trains and all sorts of other nonsense. This is real stuff and it's happening. One thing I must say though, is that at the last SONA, the President did announce, and it's good to see that at least our government has recognized the fact that they're not the job creators of the future. He said that in the SONA. He said that we need to look at working hand in glove with the business community, that they can then create jobs. That's fantastic, but there was no time limit on it. There was no deadlines. There was nothing. They're not even target dates for that. So I wouldn't hold my breath. But what I'm saying is at least the President has given the go-ahead for the premiers to look at it, because all they need to say, every premier, and the message must go out there to the premiers in all the provinces, that the President has said that you need to have a look. You need to see which way your province can become a net figure of job creation. In other words, how do we get people back into the workplace? So we've got that blessing from the President. All we need now is forward-thinking premiers. And my understanding is that there are 2 other provinces that are looking at it. My understanding is that Premier Windi is excited about this. So am I. And we need to make sure that we get people back into the workplace. Of course, you might recall, and I said it in one of my previous broadcasts, there was a Minister of Finance who said at the time that we need to uncouple small business from big business. So already the thinking's there. All we need to do now is actually do it. And I can tell you now, the uncoupling of small business from big business would create 1 million jobs with no cost whatsoever. We need that. Let's do it. Let's hold hands with all the premiers of all the provinces. Let the Western Province show the way forward. And let's see that we can get people into the workplace. Of course, we have the elections in 24. We were hoping that the growth within the Democratic Alliance puts us into power. But if it doesn't, we'll hold hands with smaller parties and we'll move forward. And we must make sure that this country, which is a good country after all, South Africa is ostensibly a rich country. We have the resources, we have the people, we have the need. And the need is going to be the mother of all invention. We need jobs. Let's do it together. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, it's Michael Bagram, Thursday, the 20th of April, 2023. Thank you for listening.